So what's going on, guys? It's Captain America. Hope you guys are well, and thank you so much for coming onto this channel. So for this one, it was going to be a tough battle against the opposition that we had, as it was a mixture of one-day players who we know from our previous games. They are a pro clubs team that is ranked 4th on PC. So, you know, it's always been a tough battle when we do play against one day. Usually we do lose by, let's say, 1 goal, or we draw against them. And on this occasion, with the mixture of opposition that they had, opposition team players that they had from one day and the other team, we did lose out 3-2 on this occasion. But again, a very promising and dominating performance on our side. You know, we did have 54 possession overall with 10 shots compared to their 8. So, you know, against a dominating, pressing performance from the team. We were unfortunate not to go a bit more up. You know, the goalkeeper from the opposition was on another level. He was an AI, but again, a very strong AI. You know, I do hate going against them, but, you know, I did score a goal from a corner, which was a strong header as well. That was just to, you know, get a goal back, especially as we were 2-0 down at that point. But again, from my end, it was a strong, you know, defensive performance as well. We had a 7.5 rating on my side, 3 possessions won, and then 0 lost. And then I made 2 tackles with 50%. And again, as mentioned, I had a goal as well. But overall, defensively, as I was going to say, you know, we did capture them offside on many occasions. Again, a very strong defensive performance. There was just some, let's say, nervousness, let's say, from the boys. You know, one occasion with the free kick, let's say, on one of the offsides that we caught. I passed it along to the right back. The right back should have just ran and, you know, held the ball. But somehow he thought it was going to be going across as a throw-in for the opposition. So he passed it to the other centre-back. And I feel that the other centre-back didn't have enough time to, like, move, especially how close the opposition was. So, of course, the opposition player got it off him, and he lobbed it over the goalkeeper. So that was a bit disappointing on how we should have just, let's say, just let the flow of the ball go on. If it went through, let's say, as a throw-in, then let it go. But, you know, we'll learn from that. And then, you know, we did score a very good goal. Khalil, you know, the main man who plays as a midfielder on the right, but he's a really lethal left foot as well, as we've seen in my previous video. So he scored a fantastic goal, you know, for the team. It was a good team play as well, how we built it up for that second goal for us. So it was good to have. But, you know, at the end of the day, we did lose 3-2. But man of the match has to go for Neymar in our team, just individually for our team. You know, he did play very well defensively. He tackled, I think, insanely. I think he got like 2 balls back, which the opposition were like attacking full speed, and just general attacking support as well was fantastic. So well done, Neymar. But yeah, guys, really diving into the video then and talking about our topic. I know I mentioned it or highlighted it yesterday, just the idea of me thinking about like who the 3 teams in the current, you know, the Premier League now, who's been promoted, such as the likes of Nottingham Forest. You've also got Fulham, and then Bournemouth were the teams that were promoted. Fulham coming at the top of the championship. You know, they played fantastic throughout the championship season last year. And, you know, there were players like Carvalho for Fulham who was integral, let's say, in the part that he played for the promotion at such a young age too. So, of course, he's moved over now to Liverpool. You know, a fantastic youth purchase, especially with the likes of Harvey Elliott as well in the midfield for Liverpool, who's changed his number now. I think he's number 19 from what I remember seeing. So, you know, a fantastic youthful prospects that we have at Liverpool, especially in the midfield. As a Liverpool team, let's say, supporter, you know, we did not make many acquisitions in the midfield at all this window. I don't see us making any. I think what Klopp is trying to do is, you know, he's trying to go for that maturity that we have with Thiago. He's got Henderson as well as Fabinho. Keita's had a so-so season. I actually see Keita going and leaving somewhere. So, you know, that's the 3 that I would prefer in midfield, with Hendo, of course, being the leader and the vocal player in the pitch. And talking about Hendo, you know, I did watch like a documentary about him. It was on the Liverpool channel, which was really good to like watch, especially like his upbringing, you know, him being at Sunderland, and, you know, his move to Liverpool, of course, wasn't as great, and then Brendan looking at selling him or doing a part exchange with Dempsey, who was at Fulham, funnily enough. So, you know, it was a case where, you know, Henderson was like, no, look, I want to prove myself. And then, of course, he did go on to prove himself. He went on to become the captain of Liverpool, and then he still was a first-team player with Jurgen Klopp. Well, not even a first-team player. He's been a leader and a key player for Jurgen, especially like the strides that we've made as a team, and how, you know, we you know, with Klopp moving over to Liverpool from Dortmund, you know, the players that Liverpool had at that time weren't great. Of course, there were some key players like Coutinho, for example, who we did, of course, sell on to Barcelona. But, we had a generally like a weak side. So for him to turn it around into the team that we have now, and of course, we've now sold Mane for like 45 mil, who's another legend at Liverpool. We've built a very dominating team, especially like the Liverpool. Let's say that they were at a moment where Man United are now, where we had the likes of like Roy Hodgson, who's got Kane taking corners at the bloody internationals, which is just pure banter. But like we had him for like a couple of seasons, and he literally ruined us. Like he put Konchesky, he bought from, I don't know, Fulham or something, where he was from, at left back, and he was so awful. And I thought he was going to do what he was doing at like West Ham, for example, but of course his age was just too much. And I think he also bought like, was it Cole? I think it was. So of course, like, he was fantastic at his prime, but he wasn't at his prime when we bought him. So it wasn't great signings that Roy Hodgson done, and we were in ruin, especially from the owners as well. So, now we've got the new owners who've done fantastic for Liverpool, FSG. Great with what they've done for us, and it's fantastic that they've sustained and built upon that. Not just in the American scene of where they are, like in the, where is it, the baseball, and they've also got, I don't know if they've got like any basketball teams as well that they acquire, but no, they've done fantastic for us. And the culture that Liverpool have is just fantastic to see as well. Like, it's just so much positivity around it, and it's unfortunate to see Manchester United, a once great team, let's say, be in this situation. But yeah, Liverpool went through it and we overcame it, but I don't see Man United doing the same and overcoming it in a very long time. Like, even Ronaldo that we're talking about, like Ronaldo, his current news and the rumours are that he just wants to leave, because I think, he's going to have discussion talks with the new manager, Ten Hag. But, it's going to be dependent on what he feels is going to be the strategy and how long it's going to be able to take, let's say, United as a team to move back into a Champions League or fighting for the league position as champions. So that plan, I feel, is not going to go down well with Ronaldo, of course, because he's at an age now where he wants to sustain, as he mentioned in his previous, article, wherever it was, where he wants to make sure that he can still play at a high level, and he feels that he still is. And of course he is, because, he was the top scorer for United last season at that age as well, which is just pure banter. So, he's a fantastic player, and I see him now leaving United. I did see him staying, but again, he did say, like, look, he wants to understand the acquisitions that are being made by United, and the ones, if they are going to make a change and drive into a Champions League position for like next season, this season, let's say, because of course he's going to have time to like train them and whatnot. But he got the funny talk about De Jong, for example, where he's now stating that he wants to stay at Barca, and there was no like actual agreement, like personal terms, for him to like even move to United. So of course the discussions club level would always go ahead with like the price valuation and whatnot, but like the actual personal talks always happen after, or even like prior, just depending on like the nature of the person and how much they want to leave the specific club. But on his occasion, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay at Barca. So I don't know if he's going to take a pay cut or whatever the situation is around Barca's finances. But yeah, that would have been a major signing, because then of course you got Van der Beek, who hasn't had a great United season, or seasons, let's say, with De Jong moving over to Barca from Ajax, the superstars that the Ajax team had at that time in the Champions League, and just the general season that they were having was just fantastic. And of course Ten Hag was there, and now it's a case where Van der Beek's been at United for a while. He understands the culture and how the players play and the ethos all around the club, because he's been there now for like a couple of seasons. So he's like, look, I don't really like the backroom like way that they celebrate after a loss, whatever. So of course he got loaned off to Everton, and he played so-so. Let's say he played so-so. He hasn't fully shown in the Premier League, and I think now, like with De Jong not moving across, very unlikely that he'll move across. I don't see him playing as well as he should. He's got that relationship international wise, as well as over years in the youth, with Ajax too. So I think let's see how he molds into the side, if he's going to be a first team player at United on his own, Van der Beek. But no, I think that'll be an interesting shout. Let's see what happens over there. But yeah, let's move on and let's talk about, let's say, the teams that I feel that are going to be relegated in the Premier League, as mentioned. So, you know, I honestly feel the teams such as like Fulham, Bournemouth, and Leeds will be the ones that are going to be like relegated. Like Fulham, don't get me wrong, they're at the top of the Championship, fantastic, you know, from their side of things. You know, they've got Liverpool as their first game. You know, we purchased one of their key central attacking midfielders, so that's going to be a key loss for them, and it will be understanding to see what acquisitions that they make in order to backfill those positions. And one acquisition that they made was from like Sporting, where they've got who is it, Palhinha, who's like a defensive midfielder, and he's a Portuguese international as well. I'm finding it strange that Wolverhampton haven't made like a bid for him, especially as the Portugal FC in the Premier League. So yeah, so like that's a really strong move for him to like the Premier League, especially if he does well. Of course, he can move to like a bigger club after, you know, depending on how Fulham do within the Premier League. But I don't see them doing that well, especially as, you know, Mitrovic is always fantastic in the Championship, but whenever he gets into the Premier League, he seems to be like a Lukaku, like Chelsea Lukaku. But then, of course, in the Championship, he's like the Inter Lukaku. You know, he's fantastic with like 44 appearances this man made last season, okay? And he had 43 goals. Like, he's the Maradona in the Championship. And then when he gets into the Premiership, I don't know, he's like a Werner or like a Chelsea Lukaku. Whoever's the worst like signings as a striker, he's like a Titus Bramble, but as a forward, let's say. So no, I don't see Fulham doing well. It just depends on who else they buy. You know, also Bournemouth as well. I don't see them being strong. You know, they generally don't have a strong team. Like, it just depends on the acquisitions that they make. I see them being like rock bottom, and then Fulham being like, where is it, 19th. Like, I don't see Bournemouth or Fulham doing well this season. And, you know, you might say, like, why is Leeds a surprise, let's say, you know, a relegation, let's say, fighting team? You know, we saw it last season, you know, they just escaped, I think, with like 2 games to go, you know, out of the relegation. But, you know, they lost their key manager, who's always very tactically but analytically strong in his game. You know, he's very focused on his detail, which is just absolutely amazing. And that helps him to understand how the team's going to play, what the team, let's say, talk's going to be like, and go from there. And, you know, you got the new manager at Leeds who had to, let's say, unfortunately take the backdrop of, you know, him leaving. But the form that they had wasn't great since after that. You know, they did not do well. And, of course, they done well after the back end, like very back end of the season. But now you got the likes of, like, Rafinha moving over to Barca. So you got Phillips already confirmed now to Man City. So that's like key players gone. You know, the purchases that they've made are very interesting, especially they're very dominant in like the Red Bull type of signings. And as we know, like, you know, the Red Bull clubs such as like Salzburg, you got Leipzig, as well as the one in New York, I think it is. You know, they actually process very good, youthful and talented wonder kids. You know, you've got the likes of like Mane, you've got Keita, you've got you know, you got these individual players that have come from this process, even Werner, for example, but like generally very good players coming from this crop of like Red Bull, you know, teams. So you got Aronson, who's moving over. You know, he's a 21-year-old, again a youthful signing. I think he's a good talent. It'll be interesting to see how he molds in. And then, of course, you got Christensen, of course, as well, from the right-back position. He used to play at Ajax, a very strong right-back, always in my opinion. So that's a good move for him. I feel, personally, he will do a good job in the Premier League. I think Aronson will be so-so as a player. I think let's just see how things go with that. And then, of course, they've made a purchase signing from, like, Bayern as well for Mark Roca, who's a midfielder. He's quite aged as well, so he's at a mature age. But again, I don't see him doing well in the Premier League. Roca, he didn't play many games in the Bundesliga as well. Just generally for Bayern, he wasn't a key player or first-team player. So that will be an interesting midfield option. But let's see how that goes. But yeah, that's the relegation situation I see for those. Nottingham Forest, I don't see them relegated. And I'll explain more in my video tomorrow and the reasons why, because we're coming to the end of it now. But again, guys, if you do, you know, enjoy these videos, I do appreciate it. You know, thank you so much. And please do like, comment, and, you know, subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Those that are oldies and goldies, thank you as always. And if there's a topic that you guys want me to talk about, like, you know, in any of the next videos, just please do comment down below. And yeah, we'll get that on these videos. So yeah, take care, guys, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Victor. He made it look simple, really. And that is